You're watching ICENET, independently covering New York Islanders hockey past and present, bringing you the tradition and nostalgia you know and love with a modern feel. This is where Islanders tradition and pride are always our number one. Built by passion for the orange and blue. Isles coverage. Taking a step into the future by reaching into the past. ICENET. Dynasties live here.
Hockey fan too, Jiggs McDonald. Not just because she says she is, but she is truly a good hockey fan.
Yeah, she's been to games at the Nassau Coliseum as well as Madison Square Garden. As we look at Craig Patrick and Walt Kachuk back of the Ranger bench.
Have to admire him. He's done a tremendous job since last November. Jiggs McDonald, he has done a lot with a team that was in total confusion.
And the answer to the question was yes, the Fish did come to the game tonight.
Yes. I used to say to hockey players when I played with them and practiced with them, you cannot swim in that stuff, it's frozen. There's John Davidson, who played in the game in the Coliseum. The first game Craig Patrick coached and was assistant general manager, I guess you'd say at the time. That part was confusing. In the Coliseum back in November, I think it was November 22nd.
I believe you've had a look at the referee, Wally Harris. There he is. And the linesmen tonight are Kevin Collins and Ron Finn. The goals against average that you saw on the screen for Billy Smith, incorrect again. 2.26 is his playoff goals against average for 1981. A record of 9 wins, 2 losses, has given up 24 goals in 634 minutes. So you can test your calculator against mine. As we look at the face mask of Steve Baker, and it was right up along that star on the left side that was flunked. There's the back of Billy Smith's helmet as he watches the Madison Square Garden attendants complete their chores.
Well, the circus is here, which is evident if you're out behind the seats where the animals are kept. Now it's a fish market. You got everything you want right here in Madison Square Garden.
There are so many lines that I will not use them.
The attendants are scraping down in front of Billy Smith. You can see the trail that the fish followed as he swam out onto the ice.
Yeah.
A bloody trail. They're trying to clean that up a little bit.
One reporter, and this is as far as I'll take it, one reporter from Canada after the game Saturday night in his story said, if New York is the Big Apple, then the crowd at Madison Square Garden last night was the core.
All right, I won't touch it.
Let's leave it at that, okay? But I thought that was rather appropriate.
Let's look to a dynamite hockey game.
Wayne Merrick is at center ice. Bob Nystrom on the right side. Bob Bourne on the left wing. On defense, Dennis Potvin teamed up with Kenny Morrow, and of course Billy Smith in goal. Duguay with Vickers and Talafas for the Rangers. They have Beck on defense along with Hospodar. Potvin over to Morrow. Kenny Morrow, long pass off the boards at the Ranger line. This is Hospodar. Comes to center, then elected to shoot one in. It hit Potvin. Hospodar, another shot, and again Potvin blocked it. Kenny Potvin carries it into center ice. Past the Ranger line, Potvin fed it through the defense. Baker out of the net to clear it. Now Nystrom on the right wing boards as Merrick was knocked down. Beck had it in his skates. It's underneath Merrick, and we'll get a face-off to the left of Steve Baker. 27 seconds gone by in the opening period.
Wayne Merrick has 9 shots total in this series, tied with Mike Bossy. Leading the Islanders in shots during this series is Mike McEwen. He has 10 shots. Barry Beck, believe it or not, leads the Rangers. 2 defensemen lead their respective teams in shots on net. Beck has 9 for the Rangers. McEwen 10 for the Islanders.
This face-off has come outside the blue line because it was Merrick who had fallen on the puck, and the Islanders have changed their defensive pair. Lane is out with Lorimer as Hospodar played it up the middle, but out of the reach of Duguay. Tom Lorimer tries a long pass, came off the boards. Hospodar overskated it, turns quickly in the Ranger zone, giving it to Beck. To Vickers, into center to Duguay, who dumps one off the boards. Gordy Lane has to go back. Tonelli is out now for the Islanders with Merrick and Nystrom, and this is Tonelli coming out on the left wing. Into center, Lane moves up in the play, the pass to Nystrom. Nystrom back to Tonelli, cuts in, shoots, he scores! John Tonelli! A minute and 2 seconds into the opening period, and the Islanders have the lead.
Fine play by the Islanders. They create what they try to do. Each time you have a 3-on-2, the Rangers get caught. The Islanders take advantage. They try to isolate one player. The pass to Nystrom, Beck goes for him. Tonelli steps in, that creates a 2-on-1. Tonelli inside the right goal post. Gordy Lane smartly moving up to give the Islanders that 2-on-1. There's the pass to John Tonelli. Good camera angle. And on the left side was Gordy Lane. And the Islanders, a quick 1-0 lead. They have not lost a playoff game that they scored the first goal in.
That's Tonelli's 5th goal in the playoffs. Rangers into the Islanders zone. It's Hedberg putting it out in front, but right to Bourne. Now to Bossy. Bossy into center, cutting to the left side over the Ranger line. Dropped it, Bourne a drive. That just went wide on the stick side. Rache in on the right wing. He's checked, and out come the Rangers. Quickly at center, Hedberg across the line, wrap around to Nielsen, and he was tied up by Bourne. Bossy back for it. Mike Bossy played it off the boards, held in by Greshner. Greshner out to Hedberg, whose shot went wide. Trache picks it up. To Bourne in the corner, back to Trache. Nielsen stepped in front of him. They pile up on the far boards. The puck came loose. Hedberg checked by Denny Potvin. Here's Nielsen digging it loose. Put it out in front. Smith steered it aside. Laidlaw from the point. Smith the save, and he covers up. There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 1, the New York Rangers no score.
This Bud's for everyone who puts it down in black and white.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
As I think about the goal, Jiggs, I have to say Barry Beck made a tremendous error in going after Bob Nystrom instead of backing up, forcing Nystrom either to go wide or try and pass it through him.
Beck has been victimized throughout this playoff. Shot from the point, blocked by Smith, fed it off on the right side. Referee Harris got himself trapped there momentarily, and it's Langevin digging it loose. It came out in front. Allison is knocked down. And it was John Hughes who was checked as he went to shoot one. Caller for the Islanders. He is out there with Merrick. And Butch Goring as the Rangers do a lot of forechecking, and now a penalty being called.
Andy
Caller
Caller
is down in a heap on the ice.
And believe it or not, he's going to get the penalty. Caller's going to get a holding penalty on the play. He's getting up slow. I did not see what happened to Andy Caller. Ron Waskey quickly off the bench, out to check on him. I guess he's all right as he heads for the penalty box. The first penalty is going to go to the Islanders. A holding penalty to Andy Caller. I believe he had a hold of the stick of Don Maloney and held on a little bit too long. It was under his arm, and he did not release the stick. So the New York Rangers, who have had a lot of problems with their power play, 16.7, which is extremely low. They have 9 goals in 54 attempts.
Now, that's even worse than they were in the regular season when they scored 63 power play goals for a 17.9% efficiency. But we take another look at the penalty here.
Shot, good save, Vice. Well, that's not this hockey game. That's Calgary that we just saw on the screen. I don't know whether that was going back to the folks.
That must have been Minnesota scoring against Pat Riggin, I would think, to put the North Stars up 1-0. Here it's 1-0 Islanders as Caller sits out a holding penalty, called at 2:22. This is Vadnais starting out. Vadnais ahead to Greshner, off his stick and cleared by Potvin. Now Barry Beck across the Islander line, dumped it into the corner. Trottier chasing it. Ryan Trottier bumped on the boards, trying to force a face-off. Rangers back away from him. Trottier kicked it behind the goal. Vadnais trying to put it out in front. Smith at the side of the goal jabbed at it. And it's picked up finally, cleared by Morrow, but not out. Here's Beck from the left point. His drive deflected in front, just went wide. Morrow around the boards to Trottier. Ryan Trottier backhands it outside the blue line. Wolf Nielsen back at center ice, waiting for his teammates to get onside. Gave it to Hedberg, and he backhanded one in around the glass. Billy Smith to Morrow. Morrow quickly up the middle, and that'll go the length of the ice.
I could never understand teams shooting the puck in on a power play like that, Jiggs. Morrow just took the puck and shot it straight down the ice.
45 seconds left in this Ranger power play. Now you've got to make a play with it when you get to that point. There's Lane ahead to Goring, but off his stick, and Laidlaw covers up.
So now and then you'll see teams, and they shoot it in. They'll shoot it in very hard around the board so the goaltender cannot handle it, and they'll send the opposite winger in quickly to retrieve the puck and gain possession.
Now the Rangers, Allison at center ice, shot one in wide. Billy Smith got it off for Lane. Gordy is checked immediately. Lane for the Rangers. Don Maloney put it out in front. Here's Laidlaw from the blue line. Fires one way wide. Comes back to Katsopoulos. Into the corner. Lane comes out in front, but play has been called. Right in front of the goal, Lorimer was being tied up.
Would it be 2 penalties?
So.
As soon as they sort it out, Jiggs, there's going to be a penalty to both the Rangers and the Islanders.
Galler still with 5 seconds remaining in his holding penalty.
It's going to be Gordy Lane, by the way. The referee is signaling. Wally Harris went over to Lane and said, get going, get in the box. There's a high sticking for 1. You see that signal by referee Wally Harris.
Here's Allison going off as well. The penalties at the 4:17 mark.
Rangers officially have 2 shots on net. So here again, with just 5 seconds remaining, the Rangers have recorded 2 shots, and that's all.
There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 1, the New York Rangers no score.
You've got to be tough to be number 1. Real tough.
Galler's just stepped out of the penalty box, so the teams are at equal strength, 5 aside. Lane and Allison, high sticking penalties at 4:17. Rangers get in over the line. Talafas, however, is offside. And of course, the coincidental minor penalties, what with the Islanders already a man short, leaves the teams at 6 aside. Another new rule. You'd think that after 80 games, plus all these playoff games, we get these down 18, but
well,
I erred on that one.
It does get a little confusing, but when you have one player already in the box and there's coincident minor penalties, then of course the teams do not go down one more man. That's because teams at one time were deliberately taking another man off the ice to create a 4-on-3, which is more of an advantage than a 5-on-4.
Nystrom was just checked at center ice, and it's Morrow dumping the puck into the Ranger zone. Fired around the boards by Hughes, out to center ice, and that's Langevin. Over to McEwen on the right side. Back to Langevin. Talafas in forechecking. Is Langevin fed it back to McEwen. Mike McEwen over the line. Stops. McEwen looks for a man. Centered one. It was broken up. Held in. Tonelli, a shot. Hit the side of the Ranger goal. Vadnais around the boards. McEwen at the point. Vickers knocked it away from him and out on the right side to Talafas. Now to Duguay. He's checked by Langevin. Here's Berrick for the Islanders. Rink wide to Nystrom. Couldn't get a stick on it. Vickers coming back. Brought the puck into center ice. Gets it to Vadnais. The left side for Hughes. Off the boards it goes to Talafas on his off wing. Duguay in quickly. Langevin gets a piece of him, and the puck goes to Nystrom. Bob Nystrom trying to round the net with it. Played it off the boards. Rangers put it out in front. Kick saved by Smith. Back a drive. That's deflected wide of the net. Here's Nystrom for the Islanders, dumping it into center ice, but play has been called. Referee Wally Harris blowing the whistle.
He wants the attendants back out to take care of the ice. Someone is throwing something, a blue ink or something on the ice, and that's why he stopped the play. Beck made a tremendous shot from the point on that play, and you can tell who it hit. Ron Duguay, as he stood in front of the net, the puck hit his leg, deflected into the corner of the rink. And then referee Harris stopped the play. There's a break in the action with the score of the New York Islanders 1, the New York Rangers no score.
I fought a battle here.
Pronunciation.
So Juha Whiting was Juha Viding. And that's the way he wanted it, or spelled it.
Yeah. Of course, Jack Kent Cook would never allow that. It was Whitey Whiting immediately.
I've been calling it Valine, and I guess in some ways I'm wrong. But anyway, we know.
Well, I guess if we anglicized it, it would be Waline. Whatever, it's 1-0 Islanders. That's the important thing. That's
Tonight I'm going to call him Waline.
Okay. Beck checked in front of the Islander goal, and Bossy fed the puck to Trottier. Ryan Trottier's shot. Grabbed and dropped by Baker. Hospodar rounding the goal and up the left wing. Hospodar stick handling into center ice. Tries a long shot. That went way wide of the net. It was bouncing off the glass and into the corner. A pile up there, and the puck dug loose. Comes out in front of the net. Nethery. They can't jab it under Billy Smith as Gillets was there all by himself for the Rangers. Puck went into the Islander bench and back out, almost into the catching glove of rookie goaltender Roland Melanson.
Billy Smith closing the door again as Gillis, coming from the side of the net, tried to jam it in. Billy Smith was down, spreading out, giving him no place on the ice to put it, and he was in too close to lift it over him. Billy Smith set a National Hockey League record last year by winning 15 playoff games. Was one of the heroes of the Islanders' Stanley Cup win.
Gordy Lane out for the Islanders. This is Lorimer, teamed up with him on defense. Up front, Merrick with Kaller and Goring. The Islanders have cleared the puck into center ice, and coming back for it is Tom Laidlaw. That's Kaller in forechecking. Laidlaw up the left side. Ron Greshner checked by Goring. Butch Goring played it off the skate of Hedberg and it went right to Baker, who covered up. The Rangers are out shooting the Islanders by a margin of 4-2 as we've played a little less than 7 minutes of the opening period. If you just joined us, John Tonelli's goal at the 1:02 mark, with the Islanders up 1-0, set up by Nystrom, Tonelli's 5th goal of the playoffs.
Number 4, Ron Greshner, who has spent a good part of the season as a left winger.
Thanks to Dan Kelly, we're informed that
Radicalio.
Radicalio, yes. 1-0 or 1-1 tie at least in Minnesota. That is game 4 of their series. Here's Lane, not able to hold the puck in at the Ranger line. He's pinned on the boards by the checking of Nielsen, and we'll get another face-off. We're going to go to Calgary and have a look at that goal now. Cicerelli had made it 1-0, and Calgary comes back on this goal.
Pekka Radicalio, a defenseman, is going to score the goal. Now, how he gets it, we'll have to wait and see. No question that there's confusion in the net. Well, Radicalio, a wide open puck. He come in right from the point, had a 20-footer to make the score 1-1.
Here it's 1-0 Islanders as Greshner comes to the Islander line. His check. Now Hedberger's shot. Smith the save off him. Goring dumps it into center ice, and Laidlaw comes hustling back. Laidlaw backhanding the puck into the Islander territory. Billy Smith cutting it off for Morrow. Kenny Morrow up the wing out of the reach of Gillies. Hedberg for the Rangers to Nielsen. Had Greshner in front. The pass instead to Badney, and it was blocked again by Smith. Morrow around the boards. That's Gillies dumping it into center ice for Kaller. Anders Kaller to Denny Potvin. Islanders in the middle of a change. Potvin's long shot went wide of the goal, picked up by Greshner. Greshner bringing up the right side at center, but out of the reach of Allison. Langevin pulls it away from him, and Allison went headfirst into the Islander players' bench. Islanders shoot it into the Ranger zone. Baker back of the net. Hughes around the boards. Wallin left it for Hughes. Hughes into center ice to Allison across the line. Poked it in around McEwen. Here's Don Maloney for the Rangers. Maloney, who's been in a scoring drought, lost the puck, and Billy Carroll comes up with it. Carroll cleared it to the line. Nystrom gets a stick on it there and just poked it into center ice. Rangers trying to get back in quickly. Wallin to Don Maloney, shooting, and that went wide. There's going to be a penalty against the Islanders as Billy Carroll picks up the puck. Play is called. And we've got a hooking penalty against the Islanders. 11:33 left in the opening period. A break in the action with the score. Islanders 1, the Rangers no score.
A bump.
On that particular play, as you see, number 16, Mike McEwen, moving up to make a play on the Ranger. That went down from the hook of Billy Carroll. Rangers in a power play situation. The New York Islanders 81% even killing penalties. That's very good penalty killing percentage.
They have Trottier out for this face-off. Bourne is there as well. The draw went to Potvin, who's on defense with Morrow, and immediately the puck shot into the New York Islanders player bench. As a result, the face-off outside the line. The Ranger power play has Don Maloney on the left side, Allison at center ice, and Wallin on the right wing, with Laidlaw and Vadnais at the blue line. Now Lorimer is coming out on the Islander defense. So it'll be he and Denny Potvin as Brian Trottier moves in for this draw against Mike Allison. Trottier tried up Allison. This is Potvin shooting one off the boards, and again it went into the Islander bench.
Duck everybody. Dennis trying to pick it off the boards and send it down the ice. Gets it a little high as it went drifting over the boards, just missing the Islander players. Bobby Nystrom sitting right on the end of the bench. There you see the 9 goals, the playoff or power play goals. The Rangers have scored 55 attempts, 16.4% on the power play, and the Islanders penalty killing statistics.
Now this time it comes back to Greshner, starts in. Greshner turning to the blue line. Wolf Nielsen a drive, hit Trottier. Ryan ties up Nielsen, and out comes Potvin. 2-on-1 with Bourne. Bourne over the line, coming right in on goal. Back to Potvin, and he was checked by Greshner. Potvin turns, shoots, and that one over top of the net. Trottier in the far corner pulls it away from Hedberg. Back to the point, Potvin rifles one wide.
Close call by the Islanders. Confusion on the Rangers.
Now here they come, led by Beck. Beck to Vickers. Vickers moves in on left wing, centers. Beck was upended in front of the net. Greshner winds up. His shot went wide after a deflection. Andy Kaller is out now with Goring, and Kaller has dumped it down into the Ranger zone. On defense for the Islanders, Lane has just come out with Lorimer as Hedberg tries to get something organized for the New York Rangers. Gave the puck to Beck. Beck being watched by Kaller as he rounded the net. Beck dropped it off for Greshner. To Hedberg, Nielsen. Nielsen around the check of Goring across the Islander line. Ulf Nielsen dropped it to Hedberg. Hedberg turns. Centers one. Here's Barry Beck trying to move in, and Lorimer steered him into the corner. Now Nielsen for the Rangers comes right out in front. Nielsen passed one off, and Vickers was too well covered. Lorimer dumps it to center. We have 26 seconds left in the penalty against Billy Carroll. 1-0 Islanders. Rangers trying the power play. Allison across the line. Tried to cut to the right. Bourne checked him, and the puck was cleared to Duguay at center. To Laidlaw, back to Vadnais. Vadnais just did get around Bourne, lost his balance. Got the puck to Duguay, and Lane stepped into him. There was help from Bourne to force the Rangers to go back. This is Laidlaw. Up the left wing side. Don Maloney didn't anticipate the pass. The puck loose in the Islanders zone. Lorimer back to touch up. The Rangers are called for icing just as the penalty to Carroll had expired, and they did not get a shot on goal.
Now we go to Minnesota again. Kristoff has scored for the Minnesota North Stars to put them ahead 2-1. There he is. Lots of room in that net. He hesitated, but he got the shot away in time. And Minnesota has taken a 2-1 lead in the hockey game. Minnesota and Calgary. That's in the first period.
And twice in the first period here, the Rangers have not had a shot on Billy Smith with a man advantage.
3 times the other night they had power plays and didn't get a shot. Very frustrating for players when that happens. They are evident of that, of course. Whenever something is not right, the players know first.
Ginelli is on the left side. Nystrom on the right wing with Merrick at center for the New York Islanders. This is Gillis, knocked down by Langevin as he came to the Islander line. A hard hit from Davy Langevin. Langevin and McEwen, the Islander defense. The man they call Bammer really leaned into his man, and Bammer is the one with it in his skates and plays it around the boards to McEwen. Mike McEwen ahead to Merrick, into center ice. Here's Merrick across the Ranger line, dropped it to Nystrom, and the pass was just out of his reach. Hughes sends Nethery across the line, Gillis trailing. Hughes checked again by Langevin. Now this is Tonelli, right side to Nystrom. Nystrom coming in on goal, shoots Baker the save, and the rebound ends up in the stick of Vadnais. Lean at center ice, across the line, tries a shot. Smith, the glove save, and he holds on for a face-off. There is a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 1, the New York Rangers no score.
Second, face-off, just to the left of Billy Smith. 1-0 for the Islanders. 6-4, the Rangers are out shooting the Islanders at this point in the first period.
Ryan Trottier to take the face-off. Goring and Kaller are out there as well, and this is Goring out quickly. Butch Goring to Kaller off the right wing boards, trying to come in around Beck, but the whistle has sounded.
Offside. That's Andy Kaller. Looks around saying, what? Who? Not me. Yes, unfortunately, Andy, the puck got by you. Had it been on his stick, he would not have been offside, but it come off the boards, and by the time he picked it up, it was a little behind him. That created the offside.
Goring against Duguay now in this face-off as Gillies is on the left side. Goring at center and Kaller on the right. The Rangers have bounced the puck down into the Islanders' zone, just wide of the net. Lane back to touch it. Icing is called against the New York Rangers.
Ed Hospodar gambling a little there, as the Rangers have been doing off and on. He gambled that Duguay could outrace Gord Lane for the puck and could not do it.
You see the stats on Duguay.
20 points, 15 games. That's excellent in the playoffs.
But the goals just haven't been there in this series against the New York Islanders.
Did you also know that Steve Vickers, number 8, has not had a shot in the series so far?
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yep.
Billy Carroll in forechecking, got it to Dwayne Sutter, who's out for the first time tonight. Duguay bumped by Carroll, the puck loose. In comes Gillies, it was knocked away from him. Talifas handed it right to Carroll. Billy Carroll to Sutter, back to the point for Lane. Knocked off his stick. Lane recovers at center and shot it into the Ranger bench. You get the feeling the Islanders are practicing for a Calgary series with those high boards at the corral.
Yes, on both the shots, that one by Gord Lane earlier, Dennis Potvin sailed one into the Islander bench. Guys would be saying, look, if you're going to shoot it into any bench, if you're an Islander, shoot it into the Rangers bench. Don't shoot it into ours. And that time, Lane cleared just over the top of the boards. Yeah, in Calgary, you actually, if you jump out of the player's box onto the ice, you need a parachute. Really, the boards are only 6 inches higher, but that's a lot when you're used to the boards being exactly the same height in every rink except the Calgary Stampede Corral.
Now the play is underway. This is Laidlaw. Around the boards, Katsopoulos handed it right to Clark Gillies. Gillies into the corner to Carroll. He was met by a couple of Islanders. Now Gillies takes Nielsen out of the play, knocked him down. The fans yell. Billy Carroll with the puck. Is too well covered. Katsopoulos left it for Hospodar. It's Carroll with Dwayne Sutter and Clark Gillies for the Islanders. Katsopoulos at center ice, dumped it into the corner to the right of Smith. Backboard is Morrow. Around the boards to Gillies on left wing. Mark Gillies got it ahead, intended for Billy Carroll, but Laidlaw broke that up and forced the Islanders to go back. Kenny Morrow starts the rush now. Up the right wing to Trottier, is out with Bourne. Bossy has just come out on the right side as well as Vadnais dumped the puck into center, knocked down by Bossy. Mike Bossy around the check of Allison, got it to Trottier, back to Bossy. Bossy couldn't catch up with it. He and Laidlaw bumped in the corner. Trottier digs it loose, comes out in front. The shot went off Vadnais and is picked up by Duguay. Duguay feeds it ahead to Allison. One man back, that's Morrow. Allison at a bad angle, fires one wide. Comes all the way out to center ice for Bossy. He was bumped hard as he fed it to Bourne. Bourne is over the line, shoots one off the knee of Vadnais. And as Katsopoulos picks it up, play is called. We're going to have a charging penalty. It's John Hughes. There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 1, the New York Rangers no score.
is too many bad penalties. Charging is not generally considered a bad penalty. Usually draws the attention of every player on the ice.
This is Potvin with McEwen's pass. Dennis unable to put it in front. He and Duguay went to the corner together. Bossy picked it up. Bossy comes out in front. Shooting, he scores! Gillies parked in front, and Bossy has made it 2-0.
How about that one? He shoots them low, he scores. He shoots them high, he scores. And Mike Bossy, as he has a few words to say to one of the Rangers, scores. His 12th goal of the playoffs. Bossy goes in to help Dennis Potvin in the corner. He was tied up by Duguay. Here's Bossy coming out just about the time you think he's going to pass it. Look at his weight. His weight is going back. He shoots the puck going ahead. Not many players can do it that way. Clark Gillies was screening Steve Baker. Barry Beck moved over to take Gillies. All too late, though, as Michael Bossy scores his 12th goal of the playoffs.
.13:46, the time of the goal. Mike Bossy's 12th in the playoffs, and it comes via the power play, and now the Islanders are called for having iced the puck. They're saying unassisted on that power play goal.
I would have to think that there's a chance Dennis Potvin could get an assist. He went in to check, or he was being checked by Ron Duguay in the corner to the right of Steve Baker, and there he is, sitting on the bench as Clark Gillies gives him a tap. Michael Bossy, his 12th playoff goal of this season. 2-0 Islanders. The only way that could be unassisted is if it went off Beck, I would think, unless Dennis Potvin did not touch it, but I thought he did. I thought he had control of the puck, or at least he had the puck on his stick at one time in the corner. That's one of the things, Jiggs, that makes the power play for the Islanders so good. They're so mobile. Players go in, they'll help each other out. Bossy goes in the corner to help Potvin out, who was already in the corner.
Looking at that Calgary-Minnesota series, Calgary has not scored on the power play thus far. Billy Smith has made a save off a rising shot from Gillis. And as their general manager in Calgary has been quoted in the press as saying, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup without a good power play. And the Islanders have only to prove that. Look back at last year and again this season. The power play has done a great job.
No question. The New York Islanders, 39.3% efficiency. Against Toronto, they were 37.5. Edmonton was 46.4. So far against the Rangers, they're 29.4 and climbing. And they're at 39.3 for the playoffs.
Looking at Dave Langevin and Bob Dystrom as they line up for this face-off. Merrick and Sutter, the rest of the forward line for the Islanders, as Duguay gets ready for the face-off against Merrick.
I was going to point out, Jiggs, a good shot there of the face-off. When they drop the puck, every player has an assignment. Everybody knows where they want to go, and we just want to see whether the Islanders were all moved, and they did.
Gatsopoulos held the puck in for Duguay, tried to put it out in front. It was broken up by Merrick. Around to Langevin, he leaned into Talafas. Ranche tips it out over the line. Nystrom coming over. But Duguay was able to play it to Laidlaw. Now to Vickers. Vickers pass, a delayed offside. It's picked up by Nystrom. Carries it back into his own zone. Nystrom into center ice. Shoots it around the boards in the Ranger territory. Baker left it for Gatsopoulos. Gatsopoulos checked immediately by Merrick. To Tonelli. Tonelli trying to put it out in front. It hit the side of the goal. Now Merrick with it again. Merrick bumped by Laidlaw, and the puck is loose. Picked up by Talafas. 2-0 Islanders. Talafas played it off the skates of Tonelli into center. Langevin fires it right back in again. Islanders in the middle of the player change. Tonelli into forecheck as Laidlaw dumps it off the boards. Trottier too well covered. Lane from the blue line in front to Trottier. Turns a backhander deflected by Gatsopoulos. Comes out in front again and cleared. Now Gatsopoulos around the boards. In comes Lane. Got it to Trottier. Trottier to Tonelli. He fired it wide. Nystrom in the corner. Bobby Nystrom moves off the boards. Got it to John Tonelli. Tonelli trying to put it out in front. It's broken up by Vickers. He's too well covered. Here's Nystrom again, taking Tonelli's pass, but then is checked as he went back of the net. Nystrom in control once more. Centered. Off Gatsopoulos, a backhander, and it's blocked by Baker, who went down to cover up. Islanders dominating in the Ranger end of the ice.
Bobby Nystrom continues his fine play. The Islanders, everybody hustling. Look at here. Nystrom taking the puck away from two Rangers. Goes behind the net. Using good balance. Makes a turn with the puck on his stick. So important. You control the puck. Not only does he put it out in front, but he gets it back. gets the shot on net as he's knocked down by number 24, Chris Kostopoulos. Good effort by Bob Nystrom and the rest of the Islanders. Good hustle. John Tonelli and he talking it over on the bench.
Now it's Trottier with Bourne and Bossy for the Islanders. Allison on the face-off. Potvin and Morrow, the Islander defense. Allison was waved out of the face-off area. Trottier won the draw to Bossy off his stick. Rangers will pick it up on this left side. Don Maloney dumping the puck in wide. Billy Smith fed it into the corner. Morrow comes in after it. He was too well covered. Maloney went to center one and went right to Trottier, to Bossy as they come to center, 3-on-2. Bossy to Trottier. Ryan Trottier in the corner. Bossy is hammered, and there's going to be a Ranger penalty.
Hughes is going to get it, Jiggs, for holding. He gets a hold of Michael Bossy. Bossy getting a lot of attention tonight. And twice now, the Rangers have drawn penalties off Bossy.
This is something the Rangers, I would think, had hoped to stay away from.
Here's the holding penalty. Bossy, the puck is in his skates. Look at the arm reaching out. Doesn't look like a good infraction or a good call by the referee, but we did not see it as the camera moves along. There he is, 28, John Hughes, shaking his head. That's his second penalty. It was his penalty for charging back at 13:31, and Bossy scored. He had charged Bossy. Best way to hurt somebody.
They gave him a punch this time. He took a shot at him, 18.
Oh, it was a roughing
for
penalty.
roughing.
All right, you can't do that. That's a good call. If you reach out and punch the guy, you should get a penalty. I don't care who does it.
So we watch another Islander power play, only the second of the game, and it's Goring feeding the puck at the Ranger line. Beck poked that loose. Potvin backhands it around the boards. Baker cuts it off for Vadnais. Lost it to Goring. Put it right out in front, but Beck was there and has forced the Islanders to go back. Billy Smith out of the net. Plays it up the right side for McEwen. Back to Potvin. Gillies, Goring, and Andy Kaller for the Islanders. As Clark Gillies fed it to Goring. Goring in a zigzag pattern. Kaller had been dragged in over the Ranger line, so Goring has to come back to center. Gave it to Potvin, now to Goring. Goring shoots it in this time. Baker cuts it off. There's Beck slapping it around the boards, right to Mike McEwen. Duguay on top of McEwen. Overcomes Vadnais as well. We'll get a face-off just inside the Ranger territory. A minute 10 left in the penalty time against John Hughes.
Islanders can't get control of the puck. They are not all going up at the same time. One of the few times we've seen that happen. The other night against a 5-on-3, the Rangers looked outstanding at that particular time. There's the playoff penalty killing by the Rangers. That's up to date, right up to date from the penalty that you have now, or that Hughes has. And the Islanders power play, 43.
And look out, there's Bossy with a backhander, and it's 3-0.
Well, twice Hughes has drawn an infraction against Michael Bossy, and twice Bossy has stung the Rangers. Hughes gets a charging penalty. Bossy scores a power play goal. And Hughes gets a roughing penalty on Bossy, and this time a backhand shot beats Baker to the left side as Mike Bossy lets go a backhand shot, gets another power play goal, and the New York Islanders have a 3-0 lead here in the first period. 2:49, two power play goals, both by Mike Bossy, have put the Islanders out in front, 3-0.
And the scoring machine at work. A pair of power play goals, 3-0 first period. Ryan Trottier, of course, on that draw, got it to Bossy. The goal at the 17-11 mark. So Trottier extends his streak to 20 consecutive games. The Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum welcomes the Black Velvet Pro Rodeo Tournament of Champions, May 29, 30, and 31st. The $150,000 Black Velvet Pro Rodeo Tournament of Champions, featuring more than 50 of rodeo's top money winners. The fun and excitement includes bareback bronc riding, saddle bronc riding, bull riding, and clowns competing in freestyle tag with a Brahma crossed bull. Also featured music by Craig Chambers and Lauren Henning with the Rio Grande Band, a Western exhibit and sale and a petting zoo for the kids. Dates again, May 29th, 30th, and 31st at the Nassau Coliseum. Shots are even at 7 by each team, but the Islanders have themselves a 3-0 lead with 2:15 left in the opening period. Rangers at center ice. Katsopoulos fired it in. That hit Billy Carroll. He's on the limp a little bit. Heads for the players' benches. Nystrom at center. Fires a long shot. Baker steers it aside. And now a little rough stuff as Nystrom and Wallin got involved, and the linesman in between, and referee Harris is headed for the penalty box.
And with him will go Bobby Nystrom. And number 25, Peter Wallin. Fans turning on the fella that got them into the playoffs and did a fine job for them during the series against Los Angeles and against the St. Louis Blues. Steve Baker made a save, and a derogatory gesture. The fans gave him a cheer for stopping the easy shot that came in across the line as Bob Nystrom and number 25, Peter Wallin, get penalties. What did they get them for, Jiggs? Did you hear the official announcement? I did not.
Nystrom for roughing, Wallin for slashing. 17:59, the time of the penalties. So the teams are at 5 aside. Tonelli is on the right wing. Merrick is at center. Potvin and Morrow on defense, and they're really on.
Another
Steve
derisive
Baker.
cheer. That's too bad. They were cheering him in the warm-up, too, Jiggs, after he got hit. He got hit hard on the side of his head. He was on the ice for quite a while, and the fans were giving him quite an applause as he got up.
Hedberg moved in with a shot that went wide. Now Ulf Nielsen off the boards, back to Greshner. Third one around behind the goal. Morrow comes over, gives it to Potvin. Danny Potvin directing traffic from back of the net. Comes out in front, played it to Morrow. Now to Tonelli. Into Merrick across the line. Merrick looks for Tonelli, put it out in front. John's shot was turned aside by Baker. Beck was all over top of Tonelli, then finally Tonelli knocked down on the ensuing play, and here's Hedberg in control of it. And there's Hedberg to Ulf Nielsen. Nielsen into center. Across the line, handed it right to Morrow, who's coming back.
Notice Nielsen, Jiggs, as he came across the line, he was all alone. Everybody held up as he went across the Islander line. He had nobody to make the play to. 4 Islanders confronted him. He had nowhere to go, and John Tonelli come up from behind.
Now less than a minute to go in the first period. Hughes with a long shot that hit Potvin, and here's Morrow backing it off the boards and down into the Ranger zone. That's going to be called back for icing as Vadnais touches up, and we have 42 seconds remaining in this opening period. Pair of power play goals by Mike Bossy. John Tonelli got it all started back at the 102 mark.
We should take a minute and say hello to all of our office staff, Jiggs. I understand they're watching the game out on the island at one of our favorite places, Dr. G's. They're all in there watching us on cable. I hope they're enjoying the game and the good times.
Just keep one on ice for us. We'll be there. At this rate, anyway.
Just goes to prove the fact that not everybody can get tickets to a hockey game. We get in because we're working. Otherwise, we wouldn't get here either. But all of our office people are there watching the game.
Here's Langevin at center ice. Firing a shot. Baker missed it. It went wide anyway. Picked up by Vadnais. A hit on the left side. Hughes, rink wide. Clark Gillies checking on Duguay. And the Rangers cover up in their own zone. Vickers to Hughes. Hughes, right side to Vickers. Duguay way ahead of the play and is offside, naturally. The Rangers going with 3 forwards and the lone defenseman as they play 5 aside, including the goaltenders. We're down to 11 seconds left in the first period.
Have to question a little bit Ron Duguay on the offside there. He could see where the puck was. It was behind him and to the left, but he went straight across the blue line knowing that there was only one way that the puck could get in ahead of him, and that is if the player shot it, but he was not in a position to shoot it. He was in a position just to backhand it in, and you don't want to do that because there's no zip to the puck. It wouldn't go all the way in to the end zone, but he went off across the blue line anyway, creating the offside. That's like back checking for the other team. 8 seconds remaining in the first period. 3-0. Surprise again, the New York Islanders, as the New York Rangers cannot find the secret to penetrate into the Islanders' end of the ice and get by Billy Smith.
That was Billy Carroll just ragging the puck as the buzzer sounds, ending the opening period. A period in which the Islanders build themselves a 3-goal lead as they head for the dressing room after 1 the score. The New York Islanders.
Minnesota over Calgary.
And Here a 3-0 Islander lead as the second period is underway. And this is Boro. Checked by Duguay. Duguay into his own zone. Gave it to Hospodar. Boxcar into center ice. Fired one to Duguay. Trying to break in through the defense. He was hooked, and there's going to be a penalty against the Islanders.
Dennis Potvin riding herd on Ron Duguay. Duguay using his speed. Takes the pass, and here's Duguay heading for the net. Dennis Potvin lifts his stick up, lifts his leg up, drops him on the ice, and the two of them crash into the end boards. Dennis Potvin is going to get the penalty, hooking penalty on Dennis Potvin as he heads for the penalty box. The New York Rangers, who have been extremely unsuccessful in their power play attempts, 2 in the first period, now have another opportunity with only 22 seconds gone in the second period.
And to kill it off, it'll be Trottier and Bourne up front. Lane and Lorimer, the Islander defense. Duguay on the face-off against Trottier. Talafas is on the right wing. Vickers on the left. They have Greshner and Beck on the points, but the Islanders force the Rangers to go back and start the power play from behind their own goal. This is Greshner to Duguay. Back to Beck, had to reach for the pass, had trouble controlling it before shooting it into the Islanders' zone, and Lorimer slaps it out quickly. Greshner chasing it. Being watched by Trottier, Greshner carries it back into his own zone. Now up the left wing for Vickers. This is Duguay trying to get center room, and he did, but right to Trottier.
Wow, what a giveaway. Duguay handed it right to Brian Trottier like it was Trottier being a Ranger.
Now Ulf Nielsen has come out for the Rangers. Nielsen rink wide, and again it's broken up by Trottier to Lorimer, and he slaps it the length of the ice. Goring in quickly, and that's going to be called back at an offside, and Goring disputes the call with linesman Kevin Collins. Two-line pass will be the call, and it's going to come all the way back inside the Islander blue line.
1 minute and 5 seconds remaining in the penalty to Dennis Potvin. The Rangers have not had a shot again so far, halfway through their third power play.
Well, they're credited with one. Somehow the board has got them with one now. But you're right.
Maybe out of sympathy. I've been deliberately watching.
Here's a break for Goring, coming in all alone and a shorthanded, and he scores! Butch Goring! Oh, is he something?
Look at Bobby Lorimer. Of course he's happy. He gives the puck to Butch Goring, and Goring put it away. The Islanders tie their last year record for shorthanded goals. What a play. Bobby Lorimer quickly. He sees Butch Goring. He knows what to do. Puts it right on his stick. And Carol Vadnais has no chance to get the speedy Butch Goring. He makes a ditch effort, swinging his stick out as he takes a dive. Goring makes one move. Look at Baker. A good report on the goaltending activities by Neil Smith. Baker did make the move, Jiggs, and Goring went to his backhand with one move. Something to remember if you're a youngster and you get a breakaway. Restrict all the motion. Make one move. If you're carrying the puck dead in front of you, you know that the goaltender realizes you have to beat him. You can't shoot the puck with it right in front of you. Goring made one move, went to the backhand, and flipped it over to the sprawling Steve Baker. 4-0 now for the Islanders.
And still 40 seconds remaining in Potvin's hooking penalty. Ulf Nielsen back of the Islander goal into the corner. Colleen gave it to Nielsen out in front, broken up by Kaller. And there's Kaller playing it around into center ice, and Vadnais back for the Rangers. Gave it to Laidlaw. Dumped it into the Islander zone. Billy Smith waiting for it. Picked up by Lorimer. Up the middle. Off Kaller and into center ice. Vadnais is back. 15 seconds remaining in the Islander penalty to Denny Potvin. Vadnais overskated the puck, and here's Trottier across the line, 2-on-1. Trottier to Kaller, and he missed the pass. Hedberg comes out on the left side. Into center, 3-on-2, across the line, drop pass, Wallin shot into the chest of Smith, and he holds on just as Potvin steps out of the penalty box. But the Islanders, with their 7th shorthanded goal in the playoffs, lead it 4-0.
That ties last year's record that they set, 7. They've just tied that. They've tied also the total number of shorthanded goals in a playoff series by all teams. 22, they just tied that. That was set last year also. Gentleman sitting right to our right here was helpful in setting the shorthanded goal records. Lorne Henning, assistant coach and player for the Islanders, watching the game along with us.
Now the face-off, the puck has been cleared to center, down into the Ranger zone. The Islanders had Merrick out for the face-off, and he's replaced. Board and Gillies have gone to the bench. Merrick is going to stay on. It's Merrick with Bossy and Gillies at the moment. Hospitar's pass came off Merrick's stick at the blue line, cleared into center ice. Don Maloney across the line, center to Duguay, and he tried to put it over in the stick of Allison, and that was broken up. Bossy to Gillies at center. Shot it in around the boards. Beck took a vicious run at Gillies and misconnection. Slowed him up a little, and Duguay starts out now. Ron Duguay into center. Duguay checked right at the Islander line. Here's Billy Carroll to McEwen. Mike McEwen across the blue line. Shooting. Baker the pad save, and Beck will pick it up. Gary Beck. The Duguay too far. It's going the length of the ice, wide of the Islander goal. Langevin takes over, and icing is called against the Rangers. There's a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, New York Rangers no score. That's the fourth time that the Ranger power play has been broken up. And that's not a very good stat from a Ranger standpoint, obviously.
Oh, no question. They want to start to decline the penalties if they get them.
Langevin a long shot. Baker the save, and he steered it off on the left side. Rangers come to center. This is Nethery coming in on the right wing. Langevin poked it away from him. Back to Katsopoulos. A shot pad saved by Smith, and a big rebound. Nystrom cleared it to Merrick. Wayne Merrick sends Tonelli in on the left side. John Tonelli bumped in the corner by Nethery. Puck came back on the boards and brought out on the right wing side into center ice. Wallin across the line, and Langevin came over to take it away from him. To Tonelli. Now back to Mike McEwen, spinning to get away from the forechecking of Nethery. McEwen a long shot, golfed it wide. Rangers try to play it out on the right side. Dennis Potvin will pick it up, but it went into the penalty box, and thus a whistle and a face-off back in the Ranger zone. We still have 15:58 left in the second period.
As I had mentioned, last year, 22 shorthanded goals in the playoffs. This year there was 21 coming into tonight's game, so that record's tied. On the individual side, the Islanders had scored 7 last year, and they have just tied that tonight.
What does that tell you, all these shorthanded goals?
Tells you that the power play, the statistics show very weak on the Rangers side. I'll let you go, Jiggs.
They're 2-on-1, and Duguay can't tip it by Billy Smith. Rangers have been getting some chances, more so here in the second period, but haven't been able to cash anything in. Mark Gillies dropping it back to Denny Potvin. Potvin at center, shot it into the Ranger zone, and that's going to be brought back on an icing. Let's get back to the shorthanded goal situation.
Whenever you're a power play and you're taking a negative attitude, you watch so many times in this series, the Rangers have gone back with the puck. The Islanders have forced them back into their own end. They've got the forwards going one way, the defense going the other. They never get everybody moving in the same direction. They're afraid, obviously, and they're very cautious about the fact that the Islanders have great penalty killing, great speed on their penalty killing, with someone like who you see right there, Bob Bourne, and he's one of many. That whenever you're in a power play position and you're negative about it or tentative, then you're not going to be successful. You're always not sure of what you're doing, and that goes with a lot of things, but in this case we're talking about power plays, and that's the reason when you see the Rangers backing up so often on a power play, the Islanders are going to take advantage of it.
The team's at 6 aside now. Hospitar just playing it into the Islander zone, and Denny Potvin played it ahead, but across 2 lines. Got it right to Trottier, but an offside pass has been called.
And there's no kidding anybody. The players look at the statistics. They study them. They think about the other team's penalty killing. The Rangers thinking about the Islanders in this case, and recognizing all of the pluses that the Islanders have in a negative position. And that comes down to mind when you're on the ice, particularly if you're a point man and you're not experienced.
Now here's a break for Bob Bourne. Down the left side with Bossy open on the right. Bourne moves in deep, can't center it, hit by Barry Beck, rather. And the Rangers take over. Hedberg back of the goal. Bourne chasing him. Hedberg up the middle to Greshner, and he almost got crisscrossed with Nielsen.
That's what I was talking about, Jiggs. They're doing it at even strength also. They're going back into their own end, and you cannot play the game of hockey going into your own end of the ice.
And they just cannot pick up the bouncing puck. It's Trottier with it for the Islanders. Ryan Trottier to Gillies on the right side. Clark Gillies hammered by Beck, but Clark still in his skates, controlled the puck, gave it to Denny Potvin, shoots off the right shoulder of the goaltender, Steve Baker. This is Greshner. Greshner off the stick of Nielsen, who was held in as it hit Kaller. Now cleared to center and out of the reach of Hedberg. Denny Potvin for the Islanders. Potvin sends Kaller in on the right wing. Anders Kaller makes the play, but it was tipped and went behind Carroll. Billy Carroll dumps one back of the goal. Hospodar is there. Kaller comes in along with Carroll, and the puck has been frozen for a face-off. There's a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, New York Rangers nothing.
Coming into tonight's game, Jiggs, 3 players scored the goal scoring in the playoffs. Bill Barber, Steve Payne, and of course Michael Bossy, each having 11 goals. Of course, Bossy now has 13, so that has changed.
The man you were just looking at, Billy Carroll, got the draw back to the point perfectly, but Lane's shot went high. Rangers have dumped it into the Islanders zone. Smith out of the net, worked it off the boards. Here's Talafas going round behind the goal. Centered it. Katsopoulos held it in at the line. They rule in front on Maloney, and a drive from Talafas went wide. Deflected at the last second. And now into the penalty box, and we'll get a face-off. Rangers buzzing from time to time. As said earlier, they've been getting their chances, and here's a look at another opportunity they had.
This shot hits the goalpost, Jiggs. If you watch it carefully, close-in shot goes over the left shoulder of Billy Smith. That hit the goalpost, deflected into the corner of the rink. Best chance that the New York Rangers have had so far, but it was not to be. Caroling off the goalpost to the left of Billy Smith and into the corner.
Now it's Merrick with Tonelli and Nystrom as the forward line. McEwen and Langevin on defense. Nethery is out for the Rangers. Hughes is on the right side. Tonelli moves in to take Merrick's spot on the face-off. That's Gillis on the left wing for the Rangers. Vadnais off the boards. Bobby Nystrom lost it to Hughes. Nystrom takes his man into the boards along with referee Harris. The puck came loose for Langevin. Rolling on edge as Langevin fires it around the boards in the Ranger zone. They'll try to come out quickly. And do into center ice, 2-on-2. This is Gillis across the line with Nethery. Langevin just got a piece of Gillis, and Smith left the puck for Mike McEwen. McEwen taken off the puck. It came out in front, cleared to the corner to Nethery. Nethery looks for a man. That's Nethery, still unable to make the play. Now into the corner to Gillis. Gillis put it out in front, and that's cleared by McEwen. Ranger fans have begun to turn just a little on their heroes. Rangers got the puck to center. Langevin to McEwen up the left wing for John Tonelli. Tonelli shooting it into the Ranger zone. It ends up back of the net. Vadnais gives chase. Carroll Vadnais at the blue line. Pauline moving up with him. Vadnais coming into the Islanders zone around Tonelli's check, and then lost it to Potvin. John Tonelli picks it up. Tonelli feeds it ahead to Merrick. Nystrom streaking up the right side, poked it into the Ranger zone, and he heads for the players' bench as Nethery takes over. Lance Nethery to Barry Beck. Beck at center, fires one around the boards. Smith let it go to the left wing corner for Clark Gillies, who's out now with Goring and Sutter. And the Rangers have to go all the way back into their own zone after it came off Gillies. Hospodar lost it right in front of the net. He and Beck sort of dueling one another for it at the moment. Or at that moment at least. This is Hospodar again up the left side. Duguay checked by Denny Potvin. Dwayne Sutter trying to get the puck to Goring. Goring on the right wing fires it in wide of the Ranger goal. 11:38 remaining in period 2. 4-0 Islanders as the pass went behind Barry Beck. Beck to Duguay. Duguay's going to do it all by himself. Smith the save. The rebound went wide of the net as Vickers was in. Denny Potvin. And it into center off the stick of Morrow. Hospodar with it now. To Laidlaw. Laidlaw over the line. Dumps it into the corner. Comes in after it himself. He's a defenseman being tied up back of the net. Duguay there as well, but here's Morrow now. Up the right side, and the Islanders have a 2-on-1 break. Bob Bourne across the Ranger line. Bourne can't get around the defense. Katsopoulos tied up Bourne, and here's Duguay with it. Duguay dumps one into center, right to Bob Lorimer. Lorimer flips it in over the Ranger line. Trottier in after it. He, Bossy, and Bourne up front. Now the Rangers trying to come out. Duguay. Will he go the length of the ice again? No, this time gave it to Katsopoulos, and he hands it right to Bossy. Got a break down the left side. Bossy turns to get away from the check, and his pass is intercepted by Hedberg. Hedberg to Duguay. Duguay back to Hedberg. Greshner goes to the net, relays the pass, and Smith came out with a big save. Rangers unable to hold it in at the Islander line. Vadnais back at center. Hands it right to Bob Lorimer. Lorimer across the Ranger line. Lorimer left side to Trottier. Goes to the corner with it. Trottier is checked as the Islanders continue to make player changes. We're going to face off in the circle to the right of Steve Baker. There's a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers no score.
Billy Smith has not been needed a great deal, but he is needed here, and he comes through. Greshner on the play. Gordy Lane covering, but Greshner gets a piece of it. Look at Smith. Look at the balance. Concentration. Makes the save. Rebound. Stopped again by Billy Smith. Good move by Smitty as he stops Ron Greshner.
Now Lorimer has slapped the puck into the Ranger zone. Lane from the line. He shoots Baker the save. Scooped it up and held on. Low shot going to the glove side. 9:54 remaining in the second period.
All season long, Jiggs. Defensemen practice what you saw Gordy Lane do. That's not easy. He made it look easy, but he let the shot go as the puck came out to him in motion. The secret, of course, is to do exactly that. Get the shot away, get it on the net. Most favorably is to get the puck on the net first, but secondly is to have it low like he did there. Baker made the save with his pad. His defenseman helped him as he corrals the rebound.
Just been informed, Ed, that they're having a blowout in Minnesota. Don Maloney in with a shot in the Islanders zone that went wide. The rebound, Allison put it through in front. Hospodar centers one. Smith kicks that aside. Here's Beck from the line. His shot blocked in front. Picked up by Nystrom. Bobby Nystrom into center. Fired it away from Don Maloney, and Beck back on the Ranger defense. Maloney picks it up. Shot it down into the New York Islanders zone. That's Lane, number 24, going round behind the net to get away from Talafas. Lane to Merrick. Into center. Tonelli moving with him. Takes the pass over the line. John Tonelli to Nystrom that was just out of his reach. Nystrom took it off the boards. Turns. Bobby Nystrom fighting off Beck. Still managed to clear one in front. Merrick to Tonelli, and Baker made the save and then covered up. It got through him. Was trickling up behind, but he was able to cover up.
Another close call this time. Baker gets it. Nystrom. Here he is being checked by Beck. He finally keeps the puck in, swings it through, and right there the puck is tipped, and the shot by John Tonelli is behind Baker. He did not see it till the last second. It did not have any motion going toward the goal line, but it was loose. Baker trapped it before Tonelli could reach the loose puck, and that's a stoppage of play. Close call. The Rangers again way out of position. Number 23, Ed Hospodar, has been having a tough time of it tonight.
Here's Langevin at the blue line. His shot deflected. Ended up back of the net. Goring trying to put it out in front. It comes around the boards. Here's Langevin to Gillies. Let it go to Goring. Goring to the blue line. McEwen winds up, shoots. That was blocked. And out come the Rangers. Lane on the right side. Plays it rink wide off the stick of McEwen. And McEwen gets over to knock it away from Gillis. They pile up on the boards. And play is called. There is a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers no score.
The Calgary Flames are at the Minnesota North Stars in Minnesota, and they're losing now, I understand, 6-2. Minnesota has broken open a 6-2 lead over the Calgary Flames.
That series goes back to Calgary on Thursday night. The Islanders trying to make it a sweep over the Rangers, up 4-0. Here's Laidlaw with a shot. Smith the save, and he covers up in the rebound.
Now again, Billy not taking any chances. The puck is loose. His defenseman forwards a little confused. When that happens, he smartly hangs onto the puck. That gives Al Arbor a chance to change his lines, as it does Craig Patrick.
I'm Jiggs McDonald with Ed Westfall and Stan Fischler here at Madison Square Garden, bringing you the action on Sports Channel. Brian Trottier has come out for the Islanders, along with Mike Bossy and Bob Bourne. Danny Potvin and Kenny Morrow, the Islander defense. Is Duguay with Talafas and Vickers for the Rangers. Now Hospodar is heading down the walkway toward the New York Ranger bench as we take a look at Steve Vickers. Former Rookie of the Year, just turned 30 a couple of weeks ago. Looks older than that tonight, like he has the weight of the entire complex here on his shoulders.
He was having his best playoff ever until this series.
Billy Smith just came up with a save off Hughes, who's now playing the left point. Hughes and Vadnais out on the Ranger defense. It was Duguay who got the draw back to Hughes. And Smith had an eye on it all the way. Shots are even, 14 by each team. And it's a 4-0 Islander lead. A little more than 8 minutes left in the second period. Trottier tied up Duguay, and this is Morrow in control of it. Duguay in forechecking. Morrow fires it off the boards to Trottier at center, around the check of Hughes, ahead to Bossy, over the line. Bourne moves in as well. Bossy ripped one just wide. Just went wide on the stick side, and the Rangers clear to center, right to Trottier, to Bourne this time. In again on left wing, Bob Bourne around behind the net, put on the brakes, and was met there by Hughes. Hughes starting out. Right side to Talafas, brought it in over the line, then it was bumped by Denny Potvin. The puck loose back of the goal. Morrow runs into his man. Vickers back to Duguay. Duguay to Vadnais, and it comes outside the line. This is Duguay. Back to Vadnais. Harold Vadnais to Duguay over the line. Gave it to Talafas on right wing, trying to come in around Trottier's check. Talafas bumped hard by Potvin, who ended up on top of Billy Smith. And Trottier has cleared the puck, but not out. Vadnais into the corner to Duguay. Duguay bumped solidly by Potvin. Bossy on the far boards, controlling it, cleared it outside the line to center ice where Vadnais picks it up.
Rangers, Jiggs, are trying to get something going often. Time and again, you'll see defensemen of the Rangers deep down in the corners of the Islanders. A penalty coming up. It's going to be Dennis Potvin with a break in the action to score the New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers nothing.
Folks in the truck has it a hooking penalty. We do know that he's in the box for the next 2 minutes, folks.
Well, that's what I was saying. The Rangers might decline the penalty, but so far they haven't.
They kill it off. Goring, Billy Carroll, Morty Lane, and Lorimer that went to the boards and was frozen. So they'll face off again to the left of Billy Smith.
Ed Hospodar went to the dressing room. I don't know whether he's back. I do not see him.
Here's Kotsopoulos over to Beck. Into the corner to Greshner. Lorimer stepped in front of him. Back of the net. The Rangers out in front, and Nielsen's shot went wide. Hedberg centers. Nielsen hit the side of the goal with a shot. Hedberg again to the blue line. Kotsopoulos lets it go and hit the post. Hit the post to the left of Smith. Cleared to the blue line to Kotsopoulos. Kotsopoulos trying to set one up in front of drive. Smith is falling. Save is going.
The place goes wild. The New York Rangers have finally got on the scoreboard. 24. Chris Kotsopoulos makes the play to the side of the net. Greshner jams it. Smith makes the save. The rebound. Greshner puts underneath. Billy Smith, Gordy Lane could not get to Greshner. He had Hedberg standing right behind him also. So the New York Rangers get a power play goal. Ron Greshner scores the goal. That gives the Rangers their first goal. That's Greshner's 4th goal of the playoffs. Now 4-1, New York Islanders.
Here's Duguay coming right in again. A quick shot wide on the glove side of Smith. Duguay into the corner. Gillis went to center one. Don Maloney backhands it wide. Duguay is upended. No penalty. Duguay played it back of the goal. Maloney is checked. Here's Allison out to Duguay. In deep, a backhander hit the side of the net. And Longelin has frozen it on the back of the goal. We're going to face off.
Rangers coming alive. Jiggs, as they score a power play goal and continue the pressure. They've got the Islanders backed in. The game was kind of lackadaisical just prior to the penalty to Clark Gillies. Rangers had had a couple of chances. They'd come close. Billy Smith made a couple of good saves. But the power play goal has lifted the Rangers a little. Their fans are in behind them.
They have really rallied. It was a very quiet Garden crowd up until that goal by Greshner. Once they had settled down after the national anthem, the Islanders took the steam out of them early, and we've got a few fisticuffs in the crowd, which isn't all that unusual. Katsopoulos and Hedberg, the assists on Greshner's power play goal at 13:39. Rache got the draw back to Denny Potvin. Duguay on top of him immediately, and Dennis elects to freeze it for another faceoff. The goal has certainly fired up this Ranger crowd and the Ranger team. Merrick, Trache, Nystrom, Morrow, and Potvin for the Islanders. Allison with Duguay over in the right wing. Rache on the draw. Duguay doubled it back. Laidlaw's shot was blocked in front. And Morrow fades it off for Nystrom. He lost it to Don Maloney. Breaks in over the line, but Nystrom came back to knock it away from him. Don Hughes at center, back to Duguay. Ron Duguay, and Trache met him with a solid check. Duguay back to pick it up. Round the check of Tonelli. Merrick missed him with a check, but the puck comes back into the Ranger zone. Don Hughes, with 5 minutes, 10 seconds left in the second period, has just dumped it the length of the ice. Morrow racing back. Rangers are called. There's a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers 1.
They've had pressure on them for the last couple of minutes since Greshner scored. See if they can settle the team down and take the play back to the New York Rangers.
This is Beck out on the right side. Wallin to Beck into center ice. Gary Beck fires one in wide of Billy Smith. And Beck met solidly on a hit from Langevin and Sutter. To the corner, Nethery got it back to Vadnais, and his shot deflected wide. Langevin around to the near boards for Clark Gillies. To Goring too far, got away from Vadnais. Goring chasing Vadnais back into his own zone, and Carol Vadnais shot it up into the Islander bench.
Teams taking turns, trying to pick each other off as they sit like ducks along the bench. Vadnais that time ripping one into the Islander bench.
Now 4 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the second period. It was 3-0 at the end of the first. And Goring made it 4-0 Islanders before Greshner's power play goal at 13:39. Rache, Bourne, and Bossy, the face-off in the Ranger zone. Potvin and Morrow on defense. Rache won the draw. Back to Denny Potvin. Turned, shot it into the corner. Katsopoulos knocked down by Bossy, and Mike's going to take a penalty. Mike Bossy for tripping.
Katsopoulos arguing with referee Wally Harris that the Rangers still had possession of the puck, and that does not constitute a stoppage of play. Mike Bossy trips up Chris Katsopoulos and gets a very unfamiliar penalty. Unfamiliar, I should say, and qualify is that Mike Bossy very seldom gets penalties. He has just taken a tripping penalty. The Islanders, that man right there, the last time they had a man in the box, two penalties ago. I'm sorry, thank you, Jiggs. 2 penalties ago, Butch Goring scored a shorthanded goal. As we said, it tied the Islanders' 7 shorthanded goals of last season, and it tied a National Hockey League record of 22 shorthanded goals in the playoffs of last year.
Patching up a spot on the ice. As you see, linesman Ron Finn has that fixed up. It'll be Butch Goring, Billy Carroll, Denny Potvin, and Kenny Morrow for the Islanders. Nielsen with Hedberg and Greshner up front, the forwards for the Rangers. Laidlaw and Katsopoulos on the points. Greshner had it knocked off his stick, picked up by Laidlaw. Laidlaw over the Islander line, trying to come through the defense, was bumped by both Morrow and Potvin. Billy Carroll around to Denny Potvin, up the left wing boards. Rangers hold it in. Katsopoulos in deep. Back of the net to Hedberg. Morrow watching him as he got it to the blue line to Laidlaw. And it's broken up and cleared by Carroll to Goring, and it just bounced over top of his stick. Butch Goring to the Ranger line, turns, gave it to Denny Potvin. Here's Potvin ragging the puck at center ice. Back to the Islander line, then looks and fires it down into the Ranger zone.
Almost want to look for a better power play from the New York Rangers after they scored earlier in this period.
And again, it's broken up, and that was Trottier shooting it into the Ranger zone. Exactly a minute left in the penalty time against Mike Bossy. Rangers haven't had a shot. Morrow forcing them back into their own zone. Carroll, Vadnais, Trottier right on top of him. Vadnais turned, played it up the right side. It hit Talafas, came back to Vadnais. Into center ice, now to Duguay. Took the pass at his skates, got over the line, was checked. Barry Beck, a long shot, scooped up by Smith. They'll get a face-off in the Islander zone. 39 seconds remaining in the penalty to Bossy.
Twice Barry Beck tries to get the puck ahead to his forwards, and twice he put it in their skates. Once to Talafas. Talafas was skating across in front of him, no more than 5 feet away. Vadnais passes the puck to him. That's not a very good play by Vadnais. You don't pass the puck to a man that's skating that close to you, particularly when he's coming at you. And then he got the puck back, made a rink-wide pass to Duguay, and put it back in his skates.
Trottier on the draw against Duguay. Rangers control. Beck shot, hit Trottier, and he's got a breakout on the right side. Just got away from Beck. Bourne moving with him. Trottier stopped just inside the line. Over to Lane. Lane shot. Baker knocked that down. It's picked up by Vadnais. Vadnais up the left side. Vickers carries it into center ice. Vickers handed it right to Lane. Failed to clear it out. Here's Vickers trying to come in around the defense. Gave it to Duguay. Duguay with Lane on top of him. Centers. They score. Barry Beck.
That changes the complexion. Another power play goal with only 11 seconds remaining in the penalty to Mike Bossy. Barry Beck converts to Ron Duguay. Pass right there. Duguay out in front. And Beck skates in, deflects the puck into the top right-hand corner. You see Vickers right here. That puck came off the skate of Butch Goring. The Islanders had a chance to clear it, but it hit Butch Goring on the skate. Vickers kept it in to Duguay, to Beck, and it's in the net. And the score now is 4-2 for the New York Islanders.
Play is underway with the Rangers right back into the Islanders zone quickly. 4-2. Lane with it. 40 Lane trying to go back in the net. A fired up Ranger team once more. Lane, and now a bump from Don Maloney. Overcomes Barrick. We get a pile-up on the boards. Not a shoving, but nothing more. Katsopoulos, Megan Hospital, rather, who had gone to the dressing room earlier, is back out on the ice now. 2:15 remaining in the second period. But yes, the complexion has changed. What was a comfortable 4-0 lead is now a 4-2 lead. And the Rangers are gaining some momentum. The Islanders have not had a power play chance in this period. We've had 3 penalties, all against the Islanders. Islanders broke up 1 power play for a shorthanded goal and have given up back-to-back power play goals against.
Now the fans come back with "Let's Go Rangers." They had been on Steve Baker heavily in the early going of the second period. They have seemed to turn things around, the Rangers have, and the fans have gone with them. It was important when the Rangers scored their first power play goal that the Islanders start to take it back to them, Jiggs, and they did not do it. The Rangers held their own and kind of took the play away from the Islanders. They lead in shots right now, 18-15.
Now Merrick on this face-off. The puck cleared back of the net for McEwen. Pulled it away from Allison. Mike McEwen lugs it out of his own zone. Across the Ranger line with a drive that hit the defenseman, Hospodar. Merrick picks it up back of the net, but couldn't center it. Allison takes a hit from Nystrom. And now Merrick took a run at his man, but the puck is cleared to center ice. Hedberg across the line. Left side. Allison centers. Smith the save, and a dazzling stop off Allison. John Tonelli into center ice. Checked at the Ranger line. Merrick picks it up, comes in, shoots. Baker the save. Tonelli put the rebound. Ryan wide. End-to-end action now. Hospodar sending Hughes out of his own zone. Checked by Bob Nystrom, and there's Tonelli to give it to Mike McEwen. McEwen dumped it into the Ranger zone. Hughes over to Hospodar. Hospodar fires it into the far corner. That's McEwen after it. McEwen is grabbed, but is still able to clear it to Nystrom. Bob Nystrom can't get it out. McEwen is checked. Here's Dethery. Langevin stepped in front of him. Now Gillis trying to get it to Wallin. It was knocked away by Trottier. John Tonelli chasing it. Tonelli and his man go to the corner together. Referee Wally Harris has called the play. The face-off will be to the left of Billy Smith.
The fans on their feet as John Tonelli goes to the corner. He pulls down Wallin. Fans looking for another penalty. The Islanders have given up 2 power play goals in the second period. It's 4-2 now for the New York Islanders over the New York Rangers. The Rangers have come to a much higher peak, higher than we've seen them in 3 games, 1.5 periods. But they could do a lot of damage to the Islanders if the Islanders let them keep coming at them.
Merrick will take this face-off. Nethery has moved in for the Rangers. Gillies is out there along with Goring for the Islanders. Al Arbor likes to go with that extra center. The face-off in his own zone. The puck comes right back, and Wallin fired it off the post. Oh, the Rangers came within a whisker. Katsopoulos at center. The puck knocked away from him. Merrick with it now. Dumps it into the Ranger zone. Back for it, Katsopoulos. Around to the right wing boards. Gillies with a heavy hit, and his arm wrapped around Katsopoulos. Now they go to the corner together, and the play has been called. Katsopoulos has ended up on top of Gillies. It was more of a wrestling match. There's yet to be a fist thrown in anger in this little bit of a grapple. Now the linesmen get Katsopoulos and Gillies separated. But the fans here regard that as a Ranger victory. But 18 just a moment ago on that draw, they put it right on the stick of Wallin, and he fired it off the post.
What a shot. He let go, Jiggs. No question. It was labeled. Islanders are very fortunate that that puck didn't go in. It's 4-2. That would have made it 4-3. It rung straight off the goalpost and bounced out. Wallin, and I say it again, W-A-L-L-I-N, Wallin hits the goalpost with a drive that Billy Smith could not react to quick enough. Here's the draw. That's Wayne Merrick trying to get the draw for the Islanders. There's the shot by Wallin. Hits the goalpost, as you can see right there. Deflects to the far side. Not in the net. That's twice in this period that the New York Rangers have hit the goalpost. This game could have been easily tied at 4 apiece.
Roughing penalties handed out here at 19:22.
.38 seconds still to play here in the second period. Have to give the second half of this second period to the New York Rangers. They have picked up the tempo, have done a fine job of working their way back into this hockey game.
Now the team's at 5 aside. The Rangers, Hedberg in quickly, took his man into the corner. The Islanders have moved the puck into center ice. Chasing it is Kaller, back inside his own zone to Potvin. Kenny Potvin into center ice to Goring. Goring to Kaller. Greshner back. Kaller across the line. Kaller turns, trying to come in around. Greshner does, and he backhanded over top of the net.
Good move by Andy Kaller. His shot just a little high.
Now this is Greshner, a long shot from center. Smith the save. Here's the rebound to the corner for Goring as the buzzer sounds to end the second period. We've got 20 minutes remaining in regulation, and it's only a 2-goal lead as they head for the dressing room at the end of 2 periods. Our score is the New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers 2.
WHN gives you Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold.
7 years in the playoffs that they can put to use now against the Rangers.
We had a look at the penalty boxes. Katsopoulos and Gillies with roughing penalties at 19:22 of the second period. Thus the teams at 5 aside as Bourne comes in. A shot. Baker knocked that down. Bourne the rebound. Got it to Trottier, to Potvin. Dennis in from the blue line to Bourne. Bourne shoots. That was blocked in front. Picked up on this near side by Ulf Nielsen. Nielsen dumped it into center. Morrow is back. Poked away from him by Hedberg. Hedberg racing and after it. Morrow right on top of him, and Hedberg is unable to put it out in front. Now Trottier. Played it over to Denny Potvin. Potvin at center ice. Around the check of Wolf Nielsen. Potvin with Trottier. They're over the line. Potvin in around Laidlaw. Comes in alone. Shoots and it just went wide. Bounces off the boards and out into center ice. Backcourt is Goring. Gave it to Lorimer. Lorimer dumped it down into the Ranger zone. No icing as Beck has to go back. 25 seconds remaining in the penalties. Beck ahead to Don Maloney. Played it just out of the reach of Allison. And here's Lane banging it off the boards to Butch Goring. Goring lost it to Don Maloney. Lane steps into Maloney. Maloney still in control of it. Now Allison back to Laidlaw. Laidlaw centered one. That was broken up. The puck loose at center. Hughes just fed it back in over the line. This is Lane coming up. Gordy Lane, rink wide to Caller across the line. Caller trying to come in around the check of Hughes. Teams at 6 aside again. Caller and Hughes bumping. Don Maloney with the puck. Maloney up the left side for Allison as he comes to center. Allison had it knocked off his stick, and it's cleared out of there by Lorimer. This is Hughes. Across the Islander line. Backhanded it in. Billy Smith leaves it for Lane. Lane out on this right side to Caller, who was bumped from behind. Here's Duguay moving in. Duguay shot. That went wide of the goal. Back to the blue line. Hospodar a drive. Deflected wide of the net. Now Hughes into the corner. Vickers to Talafus, and he shot one wide as Lane was on top of him. Bobby Lorimer looks for an opening. He elects to carry it out. Lorimer at center. Backhands it into the Ranger zone. The Islanders in the middle of a player change. Out comes Tonelli with Nystrom. Billy Carroll is already out there as Duguay feeds it up the right wing out of the reach of Talafus. Langevin back. Lost it. Duguay put it out in front. Smith just got a piece of it. Here's Bobby Nystrom now. Nystrom to Tonelli. Tonelli lost the puck, missed the check from Hospodar, and Nystrom comes over the center ice stripe into the Ranger zone, was knocked down by Beck. Fans react to that naturally. Tonelli stole the puck at center. Across the Ranger line. Tonelli fakes the shot. Coming in against Beck is backhanded. Baker the save. There's a break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 4, New York Rangers 2.
Watch out. You're driving in.
Islanders right back. John Tonelli, a good move as he tries to get around Beck. He can't, but he gets a good backhand shot away. Baker makes the save. Good play by John Tonelli. He had Bobby Nystrom coming in, but covered on the left wing side.
Eric remains at center with Nystrom and Tonelli on the wings. Rangers got the draw. Nethery to Laidlaw. The Islander defense is Langevin and McEwen at the moment. This is Merrick holding the puck in for the Islanders to John Tonelli. Tonelli played it around the boards. Here's Nystrom. Came off his stick. Nethery for the Rangers. Nystrom chopping away, trying to knock it off his stick. Picked up on the far side. Wallin checked by Nystrom. Going back is Laidlaw. Good forechecking job by Nystrom. And Laidlaw feeds it up the middle. Into center. Nethery, right wing pass to Wallin. Wallin chased to the boards on a check from Langevin. And Nystrom back again has cleared it into center ice. Bobby Nystrom will get a well-deserved rest as Gillis comes to the Islander line. In on this near side. Nethery trying to make the play. Dropped it to Hughes. He fired it wide. Potvin can't get there in time. It's cleared but not out. Vadnais from the blue line. A shot deflected and it just went wide. Nethery cutting through in front. Now on this right side is Trottier for the Islanders. Turned around on the play by Hughes, and Gillis picks it up. Gary Gillis shooting it into the Islanders zone. 16 minutes, 10 seconds remaining to play in regulation time as McEwen starts out. Mike McEwen trying to move down the right wing boards, was taken out of the play. The puck in the Ranger zone. Hedberg dropped it back for the defense. Now up the left side to Hughes. His pass was deflected. Vadnais picks it up. Played it to the Islander zone and right to Denny Potvin. Potvin over to Morrow. Morrow back to Trottier at center ice. Across the Ranger line. Tried to feed it to the left side. It was broken up and the Rangers come 2-on-2. Hedberg to Greshner. Greshner can't get around Potvin. Dennis Potvin on the left wing. Ahead to Bourne. Trottier circling at center, takes the pass, comes in over the line, but is dragged down. No penalty call. A pile up on the boards, and there'll be a face-off in the Ranger end of the ice.
Obviously, it's third period time. A little like overtime. It has to be a flagrant violation in order for a penalty to be called. Referee Wally Harris is establishing that here in the early stages of the third period. Trottier gets pulled down by Hughes. That could have been a penalty in the first or second period, but not in the third. Good end-to-end action. Probably the best hockey that we've seen in the series so far, Jiggs.
You've got the officiating of the game read very well. Not just this game, but playoff games in general. I think in a regular season game that would have been called in all likelihood.
No question. But Wally Harris, I have a great respect for him. One of the things you watch, and we've mentioned this before, but particularly with a guy like Wally Harris, who's a veteran, you very seldom know when he's on the ice. And that's a good sign. I think, you know, he's handled the game well, as have his officials, the linesmen, and Kevin Collins and Ron Finn. You don't know they're around, and that's the best sign.
Now Goring on the face-off. He's out there with Caller and Gillies. The Islanders get to center ice. Don Maloney shot it in. Lane failed to clear it out. Allison puts it off in front. Maloney tipped it, and it just went wide. Maloney, who hasn't scored in the series, came close. Back of the net. Maloney trying to come out in front, banging at it. It's underneath Billy Smith, and we'll get a face-off in the Islanders' zone.
Rangers tying up the Islanders with hustle. That time, Maloney comes close. As he takes the shot, the rebound actually was cleared by Bob Lorimer as he stood at the side of the net. Lorimer looked like he was taking a shot on net, but he was just shooting it in behind the net to get it away from Billy Smith. Here's another goal. Minnesota has scored. Right between the feet of Lemlin. That's Maxwell, is it?
I think so.
Brad Maxwell, right between the feet. That must be 7-2. It was 6-2, so we think that that's the seventh goal. We're not sure. We were not told that. But Minnesota is running away with the fourth game in Minnesota.
That would give the North Stars, of course, a 3-1 lead in the series, the winner of which would face the winner of this series for the Stanley Cup. And the Islanders up 4-2 here tonight, game 4, with a chance to sweep the series, but the Rangers putting on pressure. Maloney checked by Lorimer. The puck is underneath Bobby Lorimer, and there's no further play.
It's so important here, Jiggs, with the Rangers coming on like that we have a break in the action. And there is one with the score, the New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers 2. With the Rangers coming on, Jiggs, important that the center iceman for the New York Islanders get back quickly to help the defense. Rangers are for the first time pouring at least 2 guys and sometimes 3 checkers in on the Islander defense.
On the face-off, the Rangers got the draw. Katsopoulos' shot was blocked by Smith. Bossy fed it ahead to Bourne. Left side to Trottier. Ryan at center ice, gave it to Bourne. Can't get around Laidlaw. Here's Duguay. Dumping one in. Going back is McEwen. Mike McEwen turned to get away from Duguay. Fell. The puck loose, but Trottier has fed it to the line. Not out, they rule. Now Trottier again, this time to Bourne, and he dumps it into center. Katsopoulos waited for the Rangers to get back on side, and again McEwen has to chase it. They're dumping it into his corner with regularity. Now to Bossy on the right side. He tips it into the center ice zone. Trottier moving up, couldn't get there. Bossy with it now over the Ranger line. Bossy drops it, Bourne a drive, and it deflected off Katsopoulos. Bob Bourne to the blue line to McEwen. McEwen comes in, shoots, that's deflected wide. Bossy trying to get a stick on it on the far side of the ice. Here's Duguay into center now, but Langevin was back. Langevin over to McEwen. Missed control of it. Rolling puck, and McEwen now cleared it to Gillies at center. Knocked away from him, picked up by Hughes. Hughes backhanding it in right to Billy Carroll. Dropped it off, and McEwen dumps it into center. Rangers try to bring it back in and do. Hughes a rink-wide pass out of the reach of Wolf Nielsen. The Islanders being bottled up in their own zone. Now Billy Carroll gets to center ice. Has Dwayne Sutter with him. Carroll across the line. Billy Carroll shot. Oh, and Baker just got the right pad in front of that. Carroll put it out in front. Gillies checked. Hedberg got there before the puck arrived. For Gillies at least. Offhand to Clark Gillies. Shot it in off the boards, then heads for the players' bench. Sutter comes in to forecheck. The puck around the boards to Billy Carroll. He was too well covered. The Rangers failed to clear it out. Morrow into the corner. Picked up and fired out of there by Hughes. This is Potvin at center with 12:50 left in regulation time. Now Morrow dumps it into the Rangers zone. Baker cuts it off. Picked up by Vadnais. Around the boards for a Hedberg. Out in front of the net, that's Vadnais with it. Vadnais into center. Across the Islander line. Vadnais to the right side. Nethery shot deflected. Vadnais goes back to the net. Put it out in front. Here's Wallin turning. Wallin's shot is blocked and the puck is loose at center. It's Nystrom chasing it. Couldn't get there in time. Loose again. Barry back over for the Rangers. Falling, and Nystrom had it momentarily. Couldn't control it. Nethery got it back to back. Wallin across the line. Shot one wide of the goal. The right wing corner. Morrow trying to work it out on the boards. Nystrom failed to clear it out. Nethery on a backhand. Smith the save, and he covers up. Rangers pouring it on. There is a break in the action with the score. The Islanders 4, the Rangers 2.
Number 21, Lance Netherly. What a backhand shot. He gets away. Billy Smith is down early. He screened on the shot. It hits him. Makes the save, hangs on. That's the stoppage of play, but the Rangers, their fans behind them again, are back in the show. They have been down in the Islanders' end. They've outshot the Islanders 4-1 here in the third period so far. 12:04 remaining. Not a good sign for the Islanders. I could see in the second game, the Rangers did the same thing, Jiggs, but they did not get any opportunities. That's not the case here tonight.
No, they're beginning to get the opportunities. You could see it happening in the second period. They got a couple of 2-on-1s. Then those power plays really got them jacked up. And they're getting the chances again here in the third. They're really forechecking better, perhaps, than they have at any time in the series. Rangers shoot it in offside as it came out to center. Close call, but linesman Ron Finn straddling that blue line. The dates again of the New York Islanders Summer Hockey School are July 20th to September 5th. The school is conducted in 2-week sessions, and age groups are 7 to 10, for which the registration is $100, 11 to 13, and 14 to 17. And for those two older age groups, the registration fee is $150 for 2 weeks. Contact the Cadillac Arena manager. His number is 516-935-3501. Area code 516-935-3501. The Cadillac Arena, Nassau County. The site of the Islanders Summer Hockey School from July 20th to September 5th. Youngsters should have had at least a year in organized hockey. Well, Allison was waved out of the face-off area. It's Goring with Gillies and Kaller for the Islanders. Lorimer and Lane on defense. That's Lorimer, number 4, shooting it high and up into the crowd. The Rangers going with Allison, Hedberg, and Don Maloney as the forward line. Now Wayne Merrick is coming out, replacing Gillies, so the Islanders get the two centers for this face-off deep in their own zone.
A close look at Gordy Lane, who just before the playoffs broke his thumb. Did not play for quite a while. Came back and has played fine hockey for the New York Islanders in his defense position.
Merrick on this draw, and the puck went to Kaller off his stick. Hedberg trying to hold it in, dumped it into the corner, and there's Lane going back. He and Allison fighting for it. Comes off the boards. Lane chasing it, this time with Hedberg. Anders Hedberg kicks it into the corner. Lane stepped on the puck, fell, and Goring fires it to the line, knocked down. Hospodar shot, Smith the save. Came through everybody and right into the chest protector of Billy Smith.
It's all the little things, and they're not happening for the New York Islanders. They're happening for the New York Rangers. The reason, they're out hustling. Look here. Islanders have the puck. That's the second time they've had a chance to clear it. They don't. The shot comes in from the point. Number 23, Hospodar. Smith makes the save. He does not have a good handle, does not have a good grip on the puck. So he elects to hold on. The Rangers continue in the Islanders' end of the ice.
Duguay is out to take this face-off against Trottier. Bourne and Bossy on the wings, and again Laidlaw with a shot from the blue line. Smith got the stick hand in front of that. The puck comes off Bossy. Talipus can't hold it in, and out comes Bob Bourne. Bourne from center ice, fired it into the Ranger zone, off the boards. Bossy tapping it into the corner again. Katsopoulos is there to Talipus. Talipus got away from Bourne. Trache runs into Talifas. Now Duguay and Langevin bump on the far wing. Here's Trache putting it out in front, but out of the reach of Bob Bourne. Vickers to Talifas to Duguay, who overskated it. Laidlaw at center, shot it into the Islanders' zone. Duguay in quickly, no icing. It comes around back of the net. Out in front, it's underneath Langevin, and there's going to be a face-off in the Islander end.
Again, the New York Rangers coming close. Talifas having a word with Brian Trache.
Sticks up a little, just the one, and that is Don Maloney, it appears. Or, no, that's Laidlaw, excuse me.
Close call at the Rangers' end as Brian Trache turned past the puck. It was inches away from Bob Bourne, who was all alone in front of Steve Baker. Jiggs, the only thing that could really turn this thing back around is that the Rangers are opening up. They're going to turn it wide open here halfway through the third period. And what they do is they leave themselves vulnerable. They leave themselves vulnerable to an Islander breakout. There's the play in front of Billy Smith as he covers up along with Mike McEwen. And right there, Talifas, you can see his arm in motion, gives Trache a shove. Obviously, Trache probably give him a little tap along the boards. Duguay, fine hustle, gets the puck in front. Talifas turns, there it is. Trache goes in, takes him into the boards heavily. We do not see exactly what he did to Talifas, but Talifas went back after him with words and a gesture and a shove. Face off to the right of Billy Smith.
This is Merrick taking the draw for the Islanders against Ulf Nielsen. Merrick is waved out of the face-off area, so Trache, who was out there for this purpose.
Islanders, Jiggs, have not been winning face-offs either.
And they lost this one, too. Hughes to Vadnais, and it got away from him. A race for it at center. Merrick can't poke it away from Vadnais. Anders Hedberg turning. We have 10.5 minutes remaining in regulation time. It's shot down into the Islanders zone by Nielsen. This is Potvin. Bumped by Greshner, who was on top of him. Out in front, Vadnais' drive underneath Morrow. Merrick cleared it to the boards. Wayne Merrick into center, out of the reach of Nystrom. Back is Hughes. Hughes up the left side to Greshner. Into center, Potvin chases it. Kenny Potvin to Nystrom, tipped it into the Ranger zone. Baker out of the net to cut it off. Nystrom, Merrick, and John Tonelli, the forward line for the Islanders. Merrick broke up the Ranger play. Out in front, Tonelli couldn't get a stick on it. Anders Hedberg had trouble with the puck. Drained it back and just did get it back to Hughes. Now to Vadnais. Errol Vadnais clears it into center. Coming back is Morrow. Up the right wing to Bob Nystrom. Nystrom shoots one into the Ranger zone. Islanders in the middle of a player change. This is Hughes, number 28, coming out for the Rangers. Into center ice. Hospodar shot one into the Islanders zone, and Billy Smith dumps it around the boards. Rangers trying to hold it in and do. Quick shot. Smith steers that aside and grabs the rebound as it came off the glass, and we'll get another face-off. There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 4, the New York Rangers 2.
Shots on goal indicate the possession of the puck and the play. Shot there. Billy Smith tipped it up into the glass. Came back off the glass. He caught it, stopped the play. But the Islanders outshot so far in the third period, 7-3.
So we get set for this face-off in the Islanders zone. Trache got it to Lorimer, tipped it to Lane, out to Trache. Now to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter and Carroll together. Sutter's long shot. Baker the save. Dropped it. Billy Carroll in after it to Sutter. Round behind the net, and he scores. Dwayne Sutter gets a big goal. Billy Carroll. The Sutter comes from back of the net and stuffs it in. Remember the Edmonton series in the deciding game? Much the same as Dwayne Sutter, who hasn't been used all that much tonight, gets a very important goal.
It was a mistake, a big mistake by right here between Baker and Hughes. They got their communication mixed up, and who takes advantage of it but Dwayne Sutter as he picks the puck up to the right of Baker, comes around the net. Baker was looking left. Sutter came right and tucked it into the net. That's a big goal for the Islanders. It gives them back a 3-goal lead. 5-2 now for the Islanders as Dwayne Sutter scores.
10:49 is the time of the goal. Here's Carroll in forechecking again. Maloney fed it off to Allison. Allison across the Islander line, but offside is called. The 5-2 Islander lead. The goal coming at 10:49.
Sutter gets the goal, and that is Dwayne Sutter's third goal of the playoffs. A big one. It couldn't come at a better time. 5-2 now. We'll have to see if it takes the steam out of the New York Rangers. They had it rolling. They were playing well. They had the Islanders in their own end of the ice. They had outshot them 7-3 in the first half of the third period. A lot of people leaving now here at Madison Square Garden. But you have to remember, Jiggs, they were down on the team, too, in the early part of the second period, and the team rallied.
18, those are just Islander fans who have to drive a long way out to...
I never thought of it that way.
I didn't either until just now. I'm sorry I said it. Here are the Rangers trying to get something going again. Smith came out to kick that aside, and Trache plays it rink wide, not out. Laidlaw's shot deflected. Smith the save. Came off the stick. Laidlaw let it go, and then off the stick at the side of the net. Billy Smith able to cover up. We're down to 8:27 remaining in regulation time.
Brian Trache, a no-no for him, for anybody. A rink-wide pass inside your own blue line. You don't do that unless you're 100% sure. Laidlaw, number 2, lets the shot go. It's tipped right in front of Smith. Billy Smith down a little early. The puck hit him. He makes the save. Mike McEwen taking number 11, Ulf Nielsen, off to the side. Rangers look like they're right back again.
Now Duguay on the face-off. The puck cleared to the corner. That's Denny Potvin with it. Lifts it down to the Ranger zone. And it's picked up by Bourne. Bob Bourne backhanded one in front. Trache was knocked down. Out comes Hughes on this left side. Hughes and Duguay back and forth. Duguay unable to pick it up. Potvin was riding hurt on him. Here's Duguay again. Back of the goal. Put it out in front. Rangers in deep, but Potvin right on top of Talafus. Now Vickers with it. Steve Vickers went to center one, and Bob Bourne for the Islanders having trouble clearing it out. Vadnais pinching in, but Trache has dumped it the length of the ice. And that'll be called back for icing. We're down to 7 minutes and 44 seconds left in regulation time.
The Islanders back in their end. The Rangers trying to get their third goal. They are in behind and up against it.
Understand that Calgary has just scored their third goal in the game at Minnesota tonight. They trail 7-3. Bobby Gould having scored for the Flames.
How did you know that, Jiggs, and I didn't?
I'm listening to Dan Kelly next door here.
You mean you can hear him through your headset? I mean, Dan Kelly.
On a clear night, you can hear him all the way from St. Louis. Just open the windows out on the island.
He's right beside us, working with Mike Ruzioni.
You know where I would be if I screamed and yelled like that all night?
Well, I'll tell you where I'd be. I'd be without eardrums.
Breshner unable to pick up Beck's pass at center. Denny Potvin to Morrow. Some debris on the ice as Tonelli dumps the puck into the Ranger zone. Baker feeds it up the right wing, but Nystrom right on top of it. Dumped it off in front. Beck was there. To Greshner. Greshner shoots it into the far corner. Gordy Lane chasing it. Left it for Nystrom. Hedberg on top of him. A pile up on the boards. The puck still loose, they rule. Comes out in front, cleared by Lorimer. And Lorimer and Greshner fighting for control of it. Hedberg over for the Rangers. Back to Laidlaw. His shot went wide. Hit Lane at the side of the goal. Hedberg. Lorimer in the corner. Now Hedberg comes to the side of the net. Came out in front. That's cleared by Gordy Lane. And Nystrom dumps the puck into center ice. We have 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in regulation time. Islanders 5, Rangers 2.
More good defensive work, Jiggs, by Gord Lane, holding his spot right in front of the net where he belongs.
This is Allison across the Islander line. Lorimer on top of him in the corner. The puck came loose, picked up by Goring. Goring and Kaller into center ice. Crisscross pattern as Goring dumped it into the corner. Kaller going after it. Dumped it around the boards. Gillies coming in. Was checked by Talafus. Out on the left side, Don Maloney. This is Allison across the line, trying to come in around McEwen. Allison cuts in, shoots, and Smith just got a piece of that. Talafus dumped it into the corner. Langevin stepped into his man. The Rangers still in control of it. The play broken up, and it's Clark Gillies. Bearing it into center, picks it up himself. And dumps it down into the Ranger zone. Kaller comes in to forecheck. Nystrom has come back out, this time joined by Billy Carroll. Carroll over to check on Don Maloney, who dumped the puck into the Islanders zone. Langevin up the left side to Nystrom. Nystrom checked on the boards. Vadnais handed it right to Billy Carroll. Carroll cleared it into center. It's brought back and over the line, and Nethery handed it to Anders Kaller, and the Islanders have forced the Rangers to go back, but only to touch up for an icing call, and we now have 5 minutes and 25 seconds left. There's a break in the action with the score, New York Islanders 5.
There's been 11 goals scored in Minnesota. It's now 7-4 for the North Stars over the Calgary Flames. Here it's 5-2 for the Islanders over the New York Rangers.
Kelly must be losing his voice. I didn't hear who got the 4th goal.
I didn't hear either, just as someone signaled me.
Denny Potvin chasing a loose puck at center, was slowed up from behind, still managed to backhand one in. Baker steered it aside, and it comes around the boards in the left wing. Gillis just out of the reach of Wallin, and Nystrom goes back. Bobby Nystrom around to Denny Potvin, up the middle to center ice. Beck was there. Harry Beck playing it back and forth. Now into center, and an offside pass against the Rangers just over the 2 lines.
Another place where a player like Billy Carroll, Dwayne Sutter come into such perspective, Jiggs. They are great players to fill in a place like now. 5 minutes roughly left to go in the game. You take the pressure off, give some of the other players a bit of a rest, and you know that these players can go out and do a very good job at keeping the New York Rangers from scoring a goal.
You know, it's a rarity in the city here. I bank on the Islander bumper stickers as Lane's shot is grabbed and Baker holds on. I spent the afternoon searching for an I bank on the Islanders Chemical Bank sticker today and couldn't find one anywhere in the city.
That could only tell you one thing, that all of the people that are here from the island must have come in on the train or the bus. Because everybody in Long Island, of course, has been to one of the chemical banks in Nassau or Suffolk County and got an I-Bank on the Islanders sticker so that they can get 4 tickets and dinner for 4 to an Islanders home game. If you're spotted by a spotter from Chemical Bank, that's what'll happen.
Well, we got that in. Lane and Duguay chasing the puck back in the Islanders zone. Trottier comes in, and we'll get a face-off to the left of Billy Smith. 4 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in regulation time. It's too early to speculate as to when the Stanley Cup Finals will open. Check your newspapers.
We know what the earliest date would be, and that would be this Sunday, providing Minnesota wins tonight and wins again on Thursday. Minnesota would be in the Nassau Coliseum Sunday night, I understand.
Sunday and Tuesday would be the opening dates, as we understand it now. But that, of course, all hinges on that Minnesota-Calgary series. Another face-off coming in the Islanders zone. And let's just tell you again where that is. Minnesota is leading Calgary 7-4. They're in the 3rd period. If Minnesota wins tonight, they'll have a 3-1 lead in the series. They go to Calgary for Thursday. A victory there, and the Stanley Cup Finals would open on Sunday. If Calgary is tough at home, that series could be prolonged. Who knows? And again, I remind you, check your newspapers for the dates of the Stanley Cup Finals. The Islanders are 4 minutes and 5 seconds away from a sweep of the Rangers. The Rangers have just dumped it in offside.
You get the feeling that the Rangers realize it. As much as they would like to, they're overskating the puck. As much as they'd like to get another goal and try and get back and do something about the 3-goal lead that they have to overcome. They need 4 to win, 3 to tie. It does not look as though that's going to happen.
Butch Goring, excuse me.
No, I'd say one of the best defensive teams also in the league, as well as one of the best offensive, should be able to shut them down for 4 minutes.
Laidlaw just dumped it into the corner. That's Clark Gillies for the Islanders, being tied up by Hedberg. Potvin comes over as well. The puck dug loose by Greshner out in front to Alf Nielsen. Turn, shoots. That hit Potvin and went wide. Eddie Potvin to Clark Gillies. Gillies into center to Kaller. Kaller dropped it back for Potvin. Ahead to Gillies. Gillies to Kaller. Races in over the line with Goring. Goring unable to take the pass, and then he fell. And Greshner is back. Butch looked up. All of a sudden, there was the puck.
You know, that's a helpless feeling. The puck is coming at your skates, and you're trying to adjust your skates so that you can take the pass on the skates and then go to your stick. But you get tripped up.
Now, Hedberg turned around in the Islanders zone, regains control of the puck, and then lost it to Clark Gillies. And that's fired down the ice. Islanders have now scored 71 goals in the playoffs. They've just iced the puck, and there is a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 5, the New York Rangers 2. Coming tomorrow night on Sports Channel, the Sport of Kings, thoroughbred racing from Belmont Park. You're invited to join Harvey Pack for interviews and highlights of all 9 races from Belmont. Don't miss any of the exciting action every Wednesday through Monday night starting tomorrow right here on Sports Channel. It's your box seat to New York sports at home. And right after the handshaking at Center Ice, Sports Channel will take you to the Big A in Anaheim for the Yankees-California Angels game.
And there you see it, 3:04 on the Seiko clock. Wonder if that's from Peso Jewelers also, Jiggs.
Yeah, but it didn't come with a wristband.
It'd be a big one. Everything's big here on the Big Apple.
Langevin tying up Duguay in the corner to the left of Billy Smith. The dates again of the Black Velvet Pro Rodeo Tournament of Champions, May 29th, 30th, and 31st at the Nassau Coliseum. Friday night at 8, Saturday at 2, and again at 8 in the evening, and Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. 29th, 30th, and 31st. Tickets $10, $9, and $8 for this Black Velvet Pro Rodeo Tournament of Champions.
Are you going to go?
I'll be there.
You didn't say that there was clowns.
I didn't say there's even Brahma Bull. You don't know by now. Here's Goring at center. Goring shot deflected off Badney. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. And the Islanders on their way to a sweep of the Rangers. What started out as a great hype has really fizzled on the press here at the Big Apple, especially, who have been looking forward to this series. I'm sure the Rangers had too. They've been playing well. They just ran into a very, very hot hockey club. A team that won't be denied. This is Billy Carroll, checked by Duguay. 5-2, Islanders as Don Maloney played it into Duguay. It comes up the right wing, and Billy Carroll dumps it to center. Duguay firing it into the New York Islanders zone. Billy Smith is betting goal for every game in the series. Gave it to McEwen. He comes to center ice. Mike McEwen lofts one into the Ranger territory. Baker scooped it up for Hospodar. Less than 2 minutes to go. Nethery.
The loyal fans, Jiggs, are here yelling, "Let's go, Rangers."
Marlene is checked, and Kenny Morrow has dumped the puck into the Ranger zone. Morrow back in his own territory. He and Potvin moving to center. Now Barry Beck up the left side. Here's Nethery over the Islander line. Nethery to Beck, and he was taken out of the play. Dwayne Sutter into center. Sutter to the right side to Merrick. Merrick moves in back to Sutter, and he just failed to pick up the pass. Out come the Rangers. At center ice, Wallin pulling to the left over the Islander line. Peter Wallin went to dump one in to the corner, and Morrow is there. He and Wallin bumped together. 59 seconds left in the Ranger season. The Islanders are going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, one thing we were assured of is that one of the New York teams was going to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's going to be the New York Islanders. A standing ovation by the people that are left here in Madison Square Garden for the Ranger hockey team. 55 seconds is all that is left in their 1980-81 season.
It's a team that came into the playoffs finishing in 13th place, defeated the 4th place Los Angeles Kings in 4 games, defeated the 2nd place St. Louis Blues in 6 games, and has gone down to the Islanders in 4 straight. Really a team that they didn't expect this much from, and you have to give an awful lot of credit to Craig Patrick. They really gelled in the playoffs. This is Nystrom. Trache, but he was offside at the Ranger line. The Ranger crowd takes a lot of knocks, but those that have been loyal and stayed to the end are giving their team a standing ovation, and that speaks for itself. They have had some things to cheer about this season.
They certainly have, and I should mention, Jiggs, that while every city has its known bad fans, there may be a few extra ones in New York, but they also have more good fans than any other place because they have more people. But there is a great loyalty in a lot of these fans, and they're staying right here until the end to cheer their team right to the very end.
Now this is Gordy Lane into center. 25 seconds left. The beach ball comes out on the ice.
Well, that's what the Rangers will be playing with next, as the saying goes.
That'll be a few golf balls, I think,
Yes.
before they get to the beach at
Yeah.
18. Hedberg across the line offside on the left wing. We're down to 12 seconds. So it's the Islanders and the winner of the Calgary-Minnesota series in the Stanley Cup final. You see the smile on the face of Denny Potvin as Bob
says it all.
Ford wraps his arm around him.
Big difference between that look and the look 2 years ago, Jiggs McDonald, when the New York Rangers defeated the New York Islanders in a hard-fought series, something that most people did not think was going to happen. Big difference. It's a turnaround this year. 4 straight for the Islanders over the Rangers.
Now 3 seconds, 2, 1, it's all over. The New York Islanders go to the Stanley Cup final with a 5-2 victory over the Rangers. They were outshot tonight, 29-23. 7 shots in the third period. The Rangers had 9 in the third, but the Islanders got the only third period goal. That by Dwayne Sutter. As we look at Al Arbor, and there's a look at Craig Patrick as Gord Lane came over to shake his hand, and now Wayne Merrick shaking the hand of Craig Patrick. They were together in St. Louis. Ryan Trache and at center ice, the traditional handshake by 2 teams that put up not quite the series, at least the Rangers didn't put up quite the series that we expected. And over the doorway, we had a quick look at Phil Esposito. He has been very much absent from this series until this moment, I believe.
Quite obvious by his absence, Jiggs.
In the first period, Stanley at 1:02. Then Bossy, his first of 2 power play goals. That's at 13:46, and what turned out to be the winning goal, Mike Bossy from Brian Trache at 17:11. The Islanders skate off, waving to the crowd a salute here. In the second period, with a 3-0 lead, Goring a shorthanded goal from Lorimer at 1:29. Then the Rangers struck. Late in the period, Gilliesburg hooking at 13:06. Greshner scored from Katsopoulos and Hedberg at 13:39. Then with Mike Bossy off for tripping at 15:33. Beck scored from Duguay and Vickers at 17:22. And we went to the third period. The Rangers had the momentum. They trailed 4-2. But Sutter's goal from Carroll at 10:49 completed the scoring. And the Islanders have won it 5-2. They were outshot 29-23. And they have defeated the New York Rangers in 4 straight games. Your thoughts looking ahead to the finals at Westfall?
I expect a little more intensity in the finals than we've seen here in the semifinals, Jiggs. Whoever comes out of the series is going to be a much more difficult opposition or opponent to the New York Islanders than were the Rangers. You were right, it was kind of a fizzle after all the media hype, and what everybody expected did not happen.
So there's the final score in the series. The Islanders tonight have defeated the Rangers. Final score, New York Islanders 5, the New York Rangers 2. So it's on now to the Stanley Cup final against either Calgary or Minnesota. And again, I remind you to keep reading your local newspapers for the dates of that series. The final score, the Islanders have defeated the New York Rangers and have gone on with a sweep. 4 straight games, and of course we'll have the Islander home games for you in the playoffs, the finals on Sports Channel. Right now, let's go to Anaheim, California. It's the bottom of the third inning, and Mel Allen is standing by for the play-by-play of the Yankee-Angel game.
You're watching ICENET, independently covering New York Islanders hockey past and present, bringing you the tradition and nostalgia you know and love with a modern feel. This is where Islanders tradition and pride are always our number one. Built by passion for the orange and blue. Isles coverage. Taking a step into the future by reaching into the past. ICENET. Dynasties live here.